90s were home to some unusual fads. Tamagotchis, Go-Go's, Yuki-Yo balls, Beanie Babies, clackers. For some reason, we kids in the 90s latched onto these fervently and obediently. You weren't anybody on the playground if you didn't have the latest toy trend or fad. These kept you part of the in crowd. This week, we're looking at one of the more weird ones. The obsessive collecting game known as Pogs.
Pogs hit the stores, or more accurately, hit the newspaper shops in 1991 in shiny foil packets. I remember getting my first pack thinking there was some sort of new gum or candy. Opening the packet to see cardboard discs with a Captain Caveman rip-off on them, well, it was surprising to say the least.
Pogs have a much longer history than just the 90s though. The game's actually based on the Japanese game Menko, a game that was popular during the Edo period in Japan between 1603 and 1867. Yes, Pogs go back that far.
The game wasn't played with cardboard discs, however. Menko used wood, ceramic and even clay to make the game pieces, switching to cardboard pieces as the game gained popularity. The game is near identical to that of Pogs. Opponents would bet their pieces against their opponents, and flipping them over would result in winning those pieces. Menko would eventually switch to using cards. Not round cards, but rectangular cards, and this is believed to be the origin of collectible card series. Talk about a varied history.
Being a popular game in Japan, it was immigration to Hawaii in the 20th century that would plant the seeds as the game as we know it. Japanese travellers naturally would bring the game along with them, and native children would see people playing the game. They started to adapt it themselves using what they could find, and naturally they landed on milk bottle caps. I want to mention this now. I've never seen a cardboard milk bottle top. Foil ones, yeah, but never cardboard. In fact, I can't remember the last time I saw a glass milk bottle. Anyway, Menko spread like wildfire in Hawaii and was a very popular game. Generations of children would play it, and parents would pass down their old caps to their children, old caps becoming particularly prized. A teacher seeing how popular the game was among a class would soon bring Menko into the global spotlight.
Blossom Galbiso noticed that the game was a great way to teach children mathematics, and that the core fundamentals of the game required no athletic prowess. In 1991, she reintroduced the game of Menko to her class as a teaching aid, and the students were so enraptured by the game, they quickly went out amassing as many cardboard milk bottle tops as they could find. Urban legend claims that the packaging company that made the tops was inundated with requests for additional tops to grow the game. The name Pog comes from a Hawaiian fruit drink that, yes, you guessed it, had cardboard tops for their bottles. The name Pog being the acronym for passion fruit, orange, guava. Naturally, tourists to Hawaii would see the game being played and began taking the concept home with them. Pog was born, and it had a global foothold. The game at its heart is very simple and, admittedly, pretty boring. You and your opponent, or opponents, each wager what Pogs you're willing to put into the stack, the ones you're laying down. All the Pogs are laid face down and stacked into a column. You then take it in turns to throw your slammer at the stack, sending the Pogs flying up in the air. Any Pogs that land face up, you get to keep, and the rest go back into the stack. The game continues until all are flipped right side up. Yes, you've probably seen the problem with this already. Gambling! For kids! What fun! Teach children from an early age what it is to bet and lose. What a great game! Someone with skill could easily take the whole lot, leaving you pogless. I heard in other schools Pogs were banned for such reasons. Fights would break out, kids nicking Pogs out of each other's pockets, bags and trays. Yeah, really fun game this one.
In this barrel I've got Pogs from nearly all the series, but I won't pretend to know which ones are from which series because even as a kid I didn't care. Even though they're very collectible, one odd thing with Pogs is there's no chart, there's no image to show all 50, all 60, 70, however many in a series there were. You had no idea what you were looking for. I mean, yes, the Pogs are numbered, but come on, it'd be nice to have an image to know what I'm looking for to complete the collection.
The first wave of Pogs quickly introduced Pogman, the aforementioned Captain Caveman wannabe. More often than not, Pogman would be in some kind of weird situation in the pictures. Here he is as a bearskin for a palace guard.
And here he is as James Bond. And skateboarding, archery, Frankenstein's monster.
He was like a jack of all trades and definitely the mascot the brand needed. In a pack of Pogs, you'd get 6 standard Pogs and a slammer. Some of these slammers are ridiculously 90s in their design. Patchwork neon colours? Check. Semi-Aztec designs? Check. The Punisher skull? Check.
There are a number of series of Pogs too. Series 1, Series 2, the World Tour, Checks, Wii-Tours, Whatsits, Limited Edition, Micro Tournament. These things were practically unavoidable for a time. Everyone at some point had at least one Pog, whether they wanted one or not.
It wasn't long before other companies caught on to the popularity, Slammer Whammers and Madcaps probably being the bigger alternatives. And if I'm being perfectly honest, the art for their caps appealed to me far more. They were cooler, they were edgier, they were rad. I remember getting these from Toys R Us, yes. Pogs had gotten to the stage where it wasn't just a corner shop collection, but a full-fledged game. There were Star Wars Pogs, Batman the Animated Series Pogs, Reboot, The Mask, Toy Story, Biker Mice from Mars, NBA, seemingly every license wanted to put themselves on these odd cardboard discs.
I got some cool Pogs. Elf Pogs. Remember Elf?
Some Pogs were more interesting and intriguing than others. Check out this lenticular Buzz Lightyear one, yeah. Animated Pogs. Even Chupa Chups, the lollipop company, got in on the action. Pogs also came free with cereals and with bags of crisps, and each had their own specific lines and series. Of all the Pogs I have, the What's It series is the only one I have a complete collection of. That probably says more about my childhood diet than I even care to think about. This Slammer is from a Lucky Bag. You know the game has got a foothold everywhere when you're finding them in a damn Lucky Bag.
Then came along Tazos. Tazos were plastic discs that you could get in bags of Walker's crisps.
They were everywhere. The likelihood of getting a Tazo in a bag was slimmer than not getting one. They were endorsed by Looney Tunes and later Star Wars. This was when the special editions were just hitting theatres, ready to disappoint millions with shoddy CGI effects. Aside from them being plastic, Tazos differed from Pogs in that they had small notches around the side of them. You could slot them together to build... things? Structures? It was unusual to say the least. I don't ever remember caring for this, and even as a kid I saw the whole thing as gimmicky. As mentioned before, Slammers would come with every pack, and there were a number of varieties. Your bog standard Pog Slammer is about the thickness of 2 Pogs, but plastic. There were thicker Slammers, like this England one here. Look, it even has grooves for your fingers, in case you forgot how to hold a disc. The real king of Slammers though, were the metal ones. These would invariably cause you to win a game of Pogs. The whole stack would go flying everywhere. Gamers would shy away from playing with you if you had a metal slammer, and most would accuse it of cheating. Sore losing, I say. Metal slammers also had the unfortunate problem of denting and marking the cardboard Pogs. Of course, it wasn't long before pirated Pogs started to flood the market. Poison caps being the main culprit are easy to spot. The backs of them are left blank. Poison caps would invariably stick with the 3 themes: skulls, 8 balls, and the yin yang logo. My guess is due to them having absolutely no copyright infringement. Market sellers would sell bags of these for a few quid, and you could really pad out your collection, though other players would want you to play with real Pogs, not this imitation rubbish. Real Pogs had the logo on the back, the World Pog Federation. Yes, this actually existed, and the Federation actually held tournaments for throwing plastic discs at cardboard. The mind boggles thinking about this.
Alas, the bubble had to burst at some point, and I remember it vividly. On the playground, about 8 or 9 years old, a kid from the class above me threw all his Pogs up into the air and yelled, "Scramble!" And all the kids dove onto all the Pogs on the floor and picked up what they could. This happened more and more, and the games of Pogs less and less, until everyone had moved on to the next thing: Go-Go's.
Looking back on Pogs, it remains utterly perplexing why such a boring and dull game ever caught on the way it did. I get the collectability of the caps completely. With there being such a wide variety of many licenses going into the game, there really was something that appealed to every kid. But I question myself trying to explain to modern children why we were so obsessed with these cardboard discs, these pointless, useless cardboard discs, and I honestly can't come up with any reasonable explanation. It really is a case of, you had to be there. The images on them though really are a time capsule for a generation. The art, the themes, jokes, licenses really encapsulate the 90s in such a unique way.
It goes without saying that I don't play Pogs anymore, so why have I held on to this bucket load of them? Well, Pogs make good gambling chips. Might not play Pogs anymore, but Pogs taught me that gambling can be good sometimes, in small doses. Thanks for watching. We'll talk to you again soon.